It begins like a scene out of a horror film, except this time it's all too real. Charlotte, North Carolina. A warm summer night. The city's light rail hums along its tracks, passengers boarding without a second thought. But inside one train car, tragedy is about to unfold. Her name was Irina Zerutska. Just 23 years old, she had already survived one nightmare, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, before coming here to find peace, opportunity, and a future. That night, she boarded the blue line with her headphones in, music playing, eyes on her phone. Innocent, unaware, vulnerable. Behind her sat a man who would change everything. Carlos Brown Jr., 34 years old. A drifter, homeless, a repeat offender with a rap sheet longer than most people's resumes. Armed robbery, assault, burglary, felony larceny, 14 prior arrests. Years in and out of prison. And yet, there he was, walking free, with a knife hidden in his pocket. The edited surveillance video shows the chilling moments before the attack. Passengers minding their own business. Irina absorbed in her music. Brown, lurking, motionless, waiting. Then chaos. Without warning, he lunges forward, stabbing her again and again. One fatal blow to the neck. Screams filled the train. A bystander ripped off his shirt, pressing it against her wound, but it was no use. On the very train that should have carried her home, Irina's life was cut short. And Brown, he didn't run. He didn't panic. He calmly stepped off at the next station, arrested minutes later. Cold, calculated, unshaken. But the horror didn't end with her death. It had only begun. When Charlotte's transit system released the footage, the video went viral. Millions watched in shock. And millions asked the same question. How was this man free? Brown had shown clear signs of mental instability. He called 911 with bizarre, paranoid claims. He told people he was controlled by man-made substances. A judge even ordered a competency evaluation earlier this year, but it never happened. Instead, he was released without bond in January. A decision now under heavy fire. A decision that sealed Irina's fate months before she ever boarded that train. And then came the silence. While local outlets covered the story, national media barely touched it. For many, the lack of coverage was deafening. Conservative commentators called it a deliberate cover-up. Elon Musk wrote a single word on X: zero. Zero coverage. Zero outrage. Zero justice. With one post, he turned a local tragedy into a national debate over crime, race, and media bias. Republican leaders piled on. Congressman Brad Nod of North Carolina called the silence despicable. Mark Harris slammed soft-on-crime policies. Local candidate Edwin Peacock rode the blue line at night, posting about how unsafe it felt. Former President Donald Trump called the attack horrible and vowed to investigate. Meanwhile, Charlotte's mayor, Vi Lyles, thanked networks for not airing the graphic footage, calling it an act of compassion for Irina's family. To critics, that wasn't compassion, it was censorship. On Wikipedia, a page for Irina's murder was nominated for deletion almost instantly. Reddit threads disappeared. Screenshots spread across Twitter with captions like, "They don't want you to see this." And in that storm of outrage, the crime transformed into something bigger than a stabbing. It became a conspiracy. Through it all, Irina's friends and family grieved quietly. Co-workers at the pizza shop where she worked mourned her kindness. Fellow artists remembered her creativity. Neighbors remembered her smile. But in the media circus, her name became a symbol, used by politicians, pundits, and platforms to push an agenda she never chose. And the failures kept piling up. Brown's record wasn't just violent, it showed deep mental health collapse. Yet the system ignored it. The judge who released him without bond, Teresa Stokes, now faces questions about her decision. Officials admitted Brown hadn't even paid his train fare. He boarded without a ticket, unchecked, unnoticed. A system meant to ensure safety instead left holes wide enough for killers to walk through. After the attack, promises came fast. Stricter fare enforcement, more officers on trains, new equipment. But for Irina, those promises were too late. That's why this case won't fade away. It isn't just about one man with a knife. It's about a system that failed. Leaders who looked away. Media that stayed silent. A country that reacts to tragedy only after it's too late. So, the question lingers. Was the silence intentional? Was it political bias? Fear? Or just negligence? Conservatives say it was deliberate, buried because it didn't fit the narrative. Progressives argue the story is being exploited for political gain. But strip away the politics, and one truth remains: a young woman is dead. A repeat offender, ignored by the system, finally sits behind bars, indicted for first-degree murder. And the cracks in that system stand exposed. Brown is now set to undergo a long-delayed competency evaluation. His trial could take years. Transit officials promise reform. Politicians promise accountability. But history tells us promises fade, outrage fades, and victims are forgotten. Will Irina be forgotten? Or will her death force real change? The haunting image remains. Irina, sitting quietly with her headphones on, moments before her life was stolen. That image should haunt Charlotte. It should haunt America. It should haunt us all. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If you believe the truth should never be buried, join us in demanding accountability. Don't let Irina's story fade into silence. Subscribe to World Uncovered. Share this video. Ring the bell. And together, let's shine a light on the stories the world tries to ignore.